Rennie, I saw. Yeah. Rennie, right?
I could care less. They don't want to be annexed in the city, so they close it down. Personally, I hope they close it down.
We'll get there.
No, took the kids
without the age.
That was 2 weeks ago. So, and then last week I caught a Great Lodge.
Okay, you were there.
Yeah. It was the week after Easter.
Okay, we were there.
But then last week I was back at work, and then Monday afternoon I started feeling sick.
Then you're what here behind you.
Next week I called off work Tuesday and Wednesday and did not completely get over everything until Sunday. It was seriously. It was a 6 day. We all set, and I never. We all set.
Go, show on the road.
The April 17, 2018 meeting of the City Council of the City of Springfield, Illinois is called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Clerk, if you please call the roll.
Will do. Alderman Redpath.
Here.
Alderman Senor.
Here.
Alderman Turner.
Here.
Alderman Fulgenci.
Here.
Alderman Proctor.
Here.
Alderman DeCenso.
Present.
Alderman McMiniman.
Here.
Alderman Tylen.
Here.
Alderman Donnellan.
Here.
Alderman Hanauer.
Here.
Mayor Langfelder.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, a quorum is present.
Thank you. We do have a couple of proclamations requested by Alderman Senor. The first one's for Winton Gage. I think he's here. Great. If Sheila Walk would like to come up. Yeah, tonight is special because we're recognizing our youth in Springfield. And the first one is from for a scholastic purpose, and Sheila helped. She's been helping with the Poetry Out Loud competition, and Winton has progressed where he's going to represent the city of Springfield in Washington, D.C. So he's putting Springfield on the map for another reason, so thank you.
Not just the city, it's the whole state, correct?
Yes.
Oh, you represent the state, even better. Especially since it's bicentennial year. So you can represent Illinois proudly. And it reads, whereas today we recognize an extraordinary Springfield citizen who has attained tremendous personal success through achievement in music and poetry, and whereas Winton Gage was named the champion of both the Central Illinois Regional and the Illinois State competitions of Poetry Out Loud, National Recitation Contest by the Springfield Area Arts Council and the Illinois Arts Council Agency, and whereas currently a senior at Southeast High School, Winton participated in Poetry Out Loud, a program that encourages the nation's youth to learn about great poetry through analysis, memorization, and recitation. And whereas Poetry Out Loud, sponsored by the National Endowment of the Arts and the Poetry Foundation alongside state arts agencies, helps students build self-confidence, learn about their literary heritage and contemporary life, and master public speaking skills. And whereas Winton now will advance to the national contest in Washington, D.C., where he will recite 4 Glimpses of Night by Frank Marshall Davis, The University as Primal Scream by Tracy K. Smith, and Often Rebuked, Yet Always Back Returning by Emily Brunt. And whereas Winton has achieved all this and more with the support he has received from his parents and the encouragement of his teachers, and will be one of 53 students selected over 300,000 nationwide to participate in the National Poetry Out Loud contest. Now therefore, I, James O. Langfeld, Mayor of the City of Springfield, on behalf of the City Council and the residents, do hereby confer upon Winton Gage its highest commendation for his achievement in music and poetry. On behalf of our citizens, we wish you the best of luck in Washington, D.C.
I will be reciting one for you. I'll be reciting Often Rebuked, Yet Always Back Returning by Emily Bronte. Often rebuked, yet always back returning to those first feelings that were born with me, and leaving busy chase of wealth and learning for idle dreams of things which cannot be. Today I will seek not the shadowy region. Its unsustaining vastness waxes drear, and visions rising legion after legion bring the unreal world too strangely near. I'll walk, but not in old heroic traces and not in paths of high morality, and not among the half-distinguished faces, the clouded forms of long past history. I'll walk where my own nature would be leading. It vexes me to choose another guide, where the wild flocks in ferny glens are feeding, where the wild wind blows on the mountainside. What have those lonely mountains worth revealing? More glory and more grief than I can tell. The earth that wakes one human heart to feeling can center both the worlds of heaven and hell. Thank you.
He ought to be doing some voiceovers on Channel 4.
Yeah, we might have to use him. And I think you're participating in the Wednesday's event at the library. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah, that's with the city's talent show. So everybody's invited for not only see Winton, but our other youth that excel in art or poetry or any other talent they want to participate in. So we really appreciate you representing Springfield. We're proud of you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to also recognize Winston's mother, Mrs. Tracy Gage, who's the principal at Butler School on the intersection, on MacArthur Boulevard, the intersection of Ward 6 and Ward 7. So congratulations, Mrs. Gage.
You, what school are you at?
At Lindsay Elementary.
The assistant vice principal?
Yes.
Yep.
That's in Ward 10, by the way.
Well, we have 2, 7, and 10 covered.
There you go.
That was good.
And kind of 6.
Oh, it's 6? Very good.
And I live in 5.
All right. Half the council. So next is another youth group that we want to recognize, and it's individuals that really represent our city well. Are we ready to do it now, or you want to wait? Sure, we'll wait. We can do it later on, but it's the Southeast High School boys basketball team. So we really appreciate all their great efforts, and we'll bring them up when more are in attendance, right? Thank you very much. So we'll do our zoning portion of the meeting. The first item on the zoning agenda is docket number 2018-004 for the property located at 26 Maple Grove Lane in Ward 1. Petitioner is Aaron R. Rucker. Present zoning classification is R1, Single Family Residence District, Section 155.016. Requested zoning relief, a variance of paragraph 3 setbacks of Appendix A of the Lake Land Use Plan for Lake Springfield and its marginal properties to allow the addition structure to have a 24-foot setback from the lake shoreline instead of the 75 feet required. Springfield-Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission recommendation is denial. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is accept the Springfield-Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission recommendation to deny the petition as submitted.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we grant the variance.
Been moved to, is there a second? Been moved and second to grant the variance. Should I read this about the municipalities under 500,000? Is that necessary? No. Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. The voting is now open.
That one that reads first.
and the variance is granted, 10 voting yes, none voting no. Next item on the agenda is docket number 2018-010 for the property located at 3935 Peoria Road in Ward 4. Petitioner is Darlene A. Anderson. Present zoning classification is B2, General Business Service District, Section 155.034. Requested zoning relief reclassification from B2, General Business Service District, 155.034 to B1, Highway Business Service District, Section 155.033. Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission recommendation is approval. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is accept. Springfield and Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission recommendation to approve the petition as submitted. Chair will entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the zoning request as recommended.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission recommendation. Any discussion? All those in favor vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open. And the docket number passes 10 voting yes, none voting no. And that concludes the zoning portion of our meeting. Chair recognizes Treasurer Busher for the presentation of the financial report.
Thank you, Mayor Langfelder. The corporate fund in the month of March had a beginning balance of $1,800,960. We took in total receipts of $8,811,342. We had total disbursements in the month of March of $7,123,759, which left the corporate fund with an ending balance of $3,488,543. This concludes my report, Mayor Langfelder.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? All those in favor of the financial report say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the April 3rd, 2018 City Council meeting and approve the minutes.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to incorporate the pre-council first reading of ordinances into the record of this City Council meeting.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to incorporate the pre-council reading of the consent agenda in the record of this City Council meeting.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to place the consent agenda on final passage.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion?
Discussion. I'd like to pull out 2018-174 for debate, please.
2018-174. Any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
I'd like to hold 2018-171 for debate. It has to do with a proposed new funding for a proposed new TIF agreement. We had a letter today from an interested party that we may wish to hear from.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the consent agenda with the exception of 2018-174 and 2018-171, vote yes. And the consent agenda passes, 10 voting yes, none voting no. Agenda number 2015-121, 2017-103, 2017-266, 2017-435, 2017-436, 2017-475, 2017-489, 2017-532, 2017-533, 2018-005, 2018-110, and 2018-141 remain tabled or in committee.
Mr. Mayor, you skipped 470. Is that one still remaining?
Which one was that? I'm sorry?
2017, 470, you skipped over that.
And is that still in committee? 2017-470?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mayor. Should we withdraw, I don't know if we need 435 and 436 in there anymore, are they still pertinent? They're the AT&T on the pole deal?
We may want to leave that in there for the time being because there is a potential bill in the legislature that would allow that any municipality that passes an ordinance impacting the 5G law that if it does pass, then it could be taken into consideration.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yes, Alderman Senior.
Does these ordinance speak specifically to 5G, or is this just for a poll agreement?
Actually, I haven't read it. Someone had called me with regards to that today, saying that it was presented. Okay. So actually, I'll give kudos to WMAY 970 for calling me. And they said that was presented today as a potential legislative action. Alderman Tyler?
I had requested from Mr. Zirkle if any of the ordinances were at the point where they could be withdrawn, and he responded back that there were 3 of them that action needed to be taken on to either withdraw or continue to hold them. And they were 2015-121, which I believe we have a sponsor still here, 2017-475, and 2017-532 were the 3 that he identified to me.
Okay. So it's been moved to withdraw 2015-121, 2017-475, and 2017-532. Is there a second to withdraw those?
If any of the people have a reason that they want to keep those, they just need to make a motion to hold it. It continues it for another 6 months. Is that correct, Mr. Zirkle?
Yes, sir.
Mayor,
So, yes, Alderman Donlin.
my understanding was that 2017-532 was a ordinance that would be needed to reflect changes that were made elsewhere in the code, and there were some technicalities that needed to be worked out, and that's why it's still in committee. Is that correct, Mr. Zirkle?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And the 3 that what I had done after Alderman Tylen had asked me, I had gone through these both with the mayor, and then I believe I contacted each of the sponsors just to determine whether or not there was interest in the 3 that were referenced are the ones that can, although they may be resubmitted, for example, Poplar Place, or the technical changes may be resubmitted later. 121, I'm not relating to the minimum wage that also has the option of being presented later.
Right.
So those 3, if certainly present no problem to remove them, they can be brought back.
What was the second
Alderman
one?
Turner?
Oh, sorry.
In discussing these, we did agree that those would be removed, but I also want to state for the record that with the Poplar Place one, it's not that we are abandoning that area. We're working on other options to address those needs.
In that case, the bids have actually expired.
Right.
And we are in the process of talking both to Related and a potential new developer buyer. Right.
Yeah, so we're working
So
on...
it would have to be redone.
Yeah, we're working on other options to address the needs.
Okay. So I do make the motion to withdraw the 3 ordinances as listed from Corporation Council.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion on the 3 ordinance for withdrawal? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those say nay. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is 2018-150. An ordinance authorizing an agreement with GP Strategies Corporation in an amount not to exceed $183,500 for phases 3 and 4 of an implementation of operator training and qualification program at the Dolman Power Station for a total amount not to exceed $208,000 for the Office of Public Utilities. Chair will entertain a motion to place agenda number 2018-150 on final passage.
So move.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open. The ordinance passes, 10 voting yes, none voting no. Next item on the agenda is number 2018-164, an ordinance authorizing execution of an annexation agreement with Linda Hall Lewis for annexation of property located at 1915 Chelsea Drive. The chair will entertain a motion to recess the regular meeting of the City Council to hold a public hearing regarding this annexation agreement.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. The public hearing is now open. Does anyone wish to address the council regarding this annexation agreement? Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing and reconvene the regular meeting of the City Council.
So moved.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to place agenda number 2018-150 on final passage.
Nope. Nope. Wrong ordinance.
164.
164.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you very much. It's been moved. Is there a second?
I second it.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open. And the ordinance passes 11 voting yes, none voting no. Next item on the agenda is number 2018-165. An ordinance annexing certain described real property located at 1915 Chelsea Drive to the City of Springfield. Chair will entertain a motion to place agenda number 2018-165 on final passage.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open. And the ordinance passes 10 voting yes, none voting no. Next item on the agenda is number 2018-168, an ordinance authorizing execution of a tentative collective bargaining agreement with the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers District Number 9 from October 1st, 2017 through September 30th, 2020. Chair will entertain a motion to place agenda number 2018-168 on final passage.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion?
Discussion, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman McMiniman.
Just like to recognize that this is the 22nd collective bargaining agreement that incorporates the residency procedure for our new and existing employees. So if there's a representative from District 9 here tonight, we appreciate the strong labor support for the ordinance that passed 2 years ago with Mr. Mayor, your strong initiative and support.
Thank you. Anybody from the union representation want to say anything? It's optional. Nope. Very good. Thank you. Appreciate your support for the residency as well. So any other discussion? All those in favor vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open. And the ordinance passes 10 voting yes, none voting no. Next item on the agenda is 2018-174. Get my place here.
171.
171, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry,
175.
171.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to take out of order. It looks like our guests are ready.
We all set? Very good. We'll call up the Southeast High School basketball team and the coaches. How's everybody doing? Good. That is good.
Need to get your box.
They look as good off the court as they do on the court. So really, it gives us great pride to recognize you tonight and the special pride you had given the city of Springfield all throughout the year, especially at the state tournament. And it reads, the proclamation reads, whereas tonight we recognize the Southeast High School's boys basketball team for their epic journey as they headed to state for the first time in the program's 51-year history. And whereas teammates Devin Blue Robinson, Damon Davis, James Dent, Noah Doss, Anthony Fairley, Robert Hayes, Jordan Jones, Sergio Knight, Dion Matthews, Kobe Medley, Abdur Mohammed, Terrion Murdochs, Stephion Sims, Michael Tyler were considered strong not only because of their skills, but because of their respect and trust they had for one another. And whereas 2017-2018 marked many victories for the Spartans, including a 29-4 record becoming city champions and going on to become regional, sectional, and super sectional champions. And whereas the Spartans played tough and became the state runner-up at the IHSA Class 3A tournament, and this second place at state tied the Spartans for the best finish in Central State 8 conference history. And whereas we recognize the passion and dedication of Coach Lawrence Thomas, who has been devoted to the Spartan basketball program for over a decade, and whereas an appreciation also to the assistant coaches, Chuck Shanklin, Richard Bradley, Wayne Hamilton, Tyves Gardner, and their trainer, Tom DeMar, Southeast principal Lynn Williams, and their athletic director, Fred DeVoe. And I think I missed one, didn't I? Did I name everybody? Okay. Director for mentoring and motivation and encouragement to the Spartans. And whereas this team has a bright future and their journey is just beginning, as junior guard Stephion Sims said, we're going to be way more prepared to return to the state tournament in 2019. We're going to be mentally prepared and physically prepared, and we want to come back here stronger. Now, therefore, I, James O. Langfelder, Mayor of the City of Springfield, Illinois, do hereby proclaim that Tuesday, April 17, 2018, shall be Southeast High School Boys Basketball Day in the City of Springfield, and call upon all the citizens to formally recognize the 2017-2018 Southeast Boys Basketball team and their coaches for their achievements. Congratulations on behalf of the City of Springfield and the City Council.
Honorable Mayor and Alderman, first of all, being I'm the head coach, I want to sincerely apologize for not being here on time. If you know me, this is nothing that I like. We'll have a discussion about it, I promise you. No, we're going to have a discussion. I'm being real to who I am. We're going to have a discussion about this. But on behalf of our principal, Lynn Williams, our athletic director, Fred DeVoe, all our administrators who it takes everyone to, when you have a program, you have a group of kids, you know, there are situations that occur regularly, and our administrators and our staff at our school have been great to work with and help us achieve this goal. We just want to say thank you, and speaking on behalf of the kids and our coaches, that's all we want to say is thank you. It was a fun ride. I wouldn't want to go with this ride with anyone else but this group that's behind me, and I just want to say thank you on behalf of everyone. I'm sure everyone behind us feels the same way, and we just hope that we done the community well. I think we tried our best. All the people at the school were behind us. The community rallied behind us, and I think we came up one short, but other than that, I think we did well, and I think we represented Springfield the best we could, and we look forward to the opportunity of getting back there next year. And so thank you very much again, and we apologize.
One thing I should mention is Rashad Bradley was the Teacher of the Year this year, right? And he teaches at Southeast. Thanks to Horace Mann for that recognition, and my wife went to Southeast.
I love you.
So on behalf of her and everybody else, it's a great year to be a Spartan.
Good job, fellas.
Nice job, guys.
Great job.
I know. Watch your step, Coach. Watch your step. Many have fallen. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Good job, fellas. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much. And congratulations again. So ordinance number 2018-171, an ordinance authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with and payment in an amount not to exceed $22,000 to Peckham, Guyton, Albers, and Viets, Inc., PJAV, to provide for a feasibility study regarding a tax increment finance district for an area generally bounded along the north side of Lumber Lane between Gulf Road on the East Sangamon Avenue, Illinois Route 29, and Camp Butler Road, Illinois Route 36 on the north, and I-55 on the west, and generally known as Lumber Lane. Chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Been moved and second to motion to approve and seconded. Any discussion?
Discussion, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderman McMinimum.
I don't have a strong position on this one way or the other, but I just wanted to draw attention to a letter we received this afternoon at 2:13 p.m. Today. It's from Mr. Stephen Scherf. He's the 16-year manager at Prairie Wholesale Supply, which is outside our city limits, but it's a local business. And basically, he's saying we've already got wholesale suppliers in the city area, and are we going to subsidize a newcomer to come in to compete with the longtime existing businesses? And we haven't really discussed that in our prior deliberations, and I thought it was worthy to at least make note of this letter from Mr. Scherf. He references some other local wholesale suppliers, and so it's up to the council whether we want to hold this off and hear from the wholesale suppliers in the area or go forward. So I just wanted to bring this letter to the attention of everybody. It just came in this afternoon.
Any other discussion on that? Yeah. Yeah, I think with regards to that, I'll just answer that. As you pointed out, Prairie Wholesale Supplies is outside the city. I think it's on South Grand, and that's one of the areas that we were trying to annex in and didn't go.
But also note that it's located in, would be located in Ward 3 if it were inside the city, and it's more than a hole in a donut. It's just sitting there and sucks up city services but doesn't pay any city taxes. So, and they fought tooth and nail against annexation. So they were not interested at all in moving into the city.
And I know Alderman Fulgenzi and others have met with LS, and what they do bring to the table is a new market. Actually, it's not serving Springfield alone. It's actually a geographic area about 50 miles radius of Springfield. So we appreciate their willingness to come into the city. As we all know that the reasons others don't live or are in the city is because of the sales tax. So here's a company that wants to locate in the city. They know the value of being in the city of Springfield, and they'll help with our infrastructure needs and other items with regards to that, creating that sales tax base and property tax base. So we appreciate their commitment, and they're taking the old Boss Gloves, I believe, Alderman Fulgenzi, the old Boss Gloves, location that's been vacant, I think, 4 years or so, and doing a,
2 or 3 of them.
yeah, and I think the renovation is about $3 million, somewhere around that. So Alderman Redpath?
And it also is going to generate annual sales of $15 to $30 million by the time they're done. It's going to be a very good business to come to the city of Springfield. So a couple of us aldermen met with them along with the mayor, and I can tell you that they are committed. They got a very good business in I believe it's East Peoria, Mayor. Is that where they're from?
Mm-hmm.
And,
right.
And their market stretches further south, so they're coming here. It's going to be a good addition to the city of Springfield. Thank you.
I don't know if Val, you want to say anything? It's been covered. So, and they are on a time-sensitive time schedule. Otherwise, we would, we could delay it, but at this point, we're under the wire with regards to meeting their timeline, so we want to be as convenient as possible for them. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the ordinance vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open. And the ordinance passes 10 voting yes, none voting no. Next item on the agenda is 2018-174, an ordinance authorizing a 5-year memorandum of understanding with the State of Illinois Department of Natural Resources for space located at 1 Old State Capitol Plaza, known as the Lincoln Herndon Law Office, to be used for a tourist visitor center for an amount not to exceed $20,000 annually. Chair will entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Motion for approval?
Yes.
Any discussion? Alderwoman DeCenso?
Who will be staffing this center?
Actually, we'll share time. It'll be Convention Visitors Bureau staff, and we would probably do some part-timers over the summer. And then Justin Blanford, he's here, I believe. And what we tried to do is get volunteers so we can have it open sometimes over the weekends, too. Alderman Donlin?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. One of my questions was the same one, and I appreciate the volunteer part. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I do just have a couple questions. I want to make sure I understand the financial obligations on the agreement. It talks about there being a $20,000 a year payment to the state for 5 years. That's pretty clear. Do we have any estimate as far as it also says in the agreement that we'll be paying half the utilities and some insurance obligations? Do we have a ballpark figure of what that would be? Is it?
I would ask Justin to come up. I'm not sure if he can answer it. The utilities, we'd have to pull that number. I can't remember what it was. And what was the other cost?
The insurance obligations.
Yeah, the insurance obligations. Do you want to cover that?
And the city is self-insured, for...
So our self-insurance would, okay, correct. Then that answers that.
The other item I would just also maybe point out is keep in mind that although it is a 5-year agreement, each of the parties has the ability to, if it's not working, to terminate the agreement on 60 days' notice. So it's really more of a 60-day agreement, provided the parties work together, makes sense, and so on. So it's not necessarily like a 5-year lease would be.
Right, and I appreciate the part in there about the appropriation as well. If we don't appropriate the money, then.
Right. And the utilities is just our pro rata share. We're taking the first floor and I think one office upstairs. There's a potential to rent out the remaining amount of the space, but it would open up the Lincoln Herndon Law Office, so it'd be available for some tours. People would be able to come inside instead of just peeking through the windows. But the intent from our purpose is to have a visitor center on that first floor and tout just not only Lincoln, but other aspects of Springfield that people can go visit. I don't know, Justin, do you want to come up real quick? And if you could give us a little insight as to how long it's been shuttered and what the value of reopening it would be.
Thanks to all members of the council for the opportunity to address you regarding this matter. We think this is a really important tourism investment, an economic investment, allow the location of the visitor center to be more central in our community and provide access. We have, as you all know, hundreds of thousands of individuals who are visiting Springfield, and we feel there's a significant percentage of them who are lost. And by more centrally locating the visitor center, partnering with the state of Illinois in terms of a tourism and volunteer effort, we hope to provide better access, better directions, more hospitality from that location. So we were delighted to respond to the RSVP for that. And this is just our first incremental step by working with the city. We hope to put out additional RFPs for other sections of the building to further activate it, share the cost of that very important location, and hopefully enable the state of Illinois to reopen the Lincoln Herndon Law Office daily in the future. That date hasn't been set yet, but this is step one, and we're very excited for your partnership. While that short-term duration is certainly part of the agreement, to be fair to both sides, we hope this is a very long-term relationship that will help our economy prosper for a long time into the future.
And Justin Blanford, if you could give your title and the department as well, please.
Superintendent of State Historic Sites in Springfield for the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. We coordinate all 7 of the state-owned historic properties in the capital city. Honored to do it for all of you and our taxpayers.
Alderman Senor?
Mr. Blanford, thanks for coming. How do you envision this office running and incorporating itself into downtown in conjunction with the regular office?
Well, we see this really being just a small portion. You know, obviously, many of the functions for the Springfield Convention and Tourism Bureau would remain where they are. Those functions can happen in, you know, really maybe any location, and that's really not up for us to have input in. What we wanted to suggest with our response to the RFP is that the portion of the visitor center that relates directly to the frontline service provided to our tourists and to those who are seeking information, that we partner with the city to provide the most accessible, prominent location we can. So as we were moving forward, looking at plans for the Lincoln Herndon Law Office, considering its central location, we think it makes an ideal opportunity for the City Visitor Center to be in that. And so this is really going to become the one-stop shop to keep people in our community longer, hopefully spending more money, going back, spreading word of mouth. And so it becomes a really important marketing opportunity, destination opportunity for our economy.
So would there be signage out there saying,
Absolutely. You know, we want to work with the city to use their expertise in branding and marketing to take the great work that's been underway over the last several years and put it in that location so that people know this is where you can go to find help, find information, help create an itinerary, and learn more about the ways they can spend their time and their money in our community.
And is that law office part of the history walks or the walks now, or what is it?
Right now, it's been shuttered since the fault lines surrounded the Capitol bills in recent years. This allows us to bring in partners to help reopen that space in increments, and again, hopefully leading the agency to reopening the historic area, which is actually at the southern end of the building. We're taking this visitor center and focusing that primarily on the ground floor. The historic area was on the 3rd floor on the southern end. So that's hopefully a goal for the future.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman.
Alderman Tyler?
Mayor, first to address the city side of things. I think it's a great location for the Convention and Visitors Bureau. It is, like you said, a good place where people will be able to find us. Sometimes I think that where we currently are located is off the beaten path, and it's not someplace where a lot of the tourists are at normally. It's almost like they have to go looking for the Convention and Visitors Bureau instead of finding it by just walking into it, which is the way a lot of other cities are set up. You just end up walking right into their tourism bureaus. From the state side of things, I commend you on being creative, on being an advocate for trying to get this back open. I remember going through there as a boy when the grade school classes would go through there, and of all the Lincoln sites, that's the one that I remember striking me the most because of the trap door. And I think that there's a ton of kids who just don't know what I'm talking about. And the fact that you're smiling, you know exactly what I mean.
We'll talk about that trap door later. I wish I would have been your tour guide.
Any other discussion?
Thank you, Alderman. I appreciate your comments.
Thanks, Justin.
Thank you very much, Justin. All those in favor of the ordinance vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open. And the ordinance passes, 10 voting yes, none voting no. Next item on the agenda is 2018-175, an ordinance approving the appointment of Alan Riney as Fire Chief of the Springfield Fire Department. Chair will entertain a motion to place agenda number 2018-175 on final passage.
Second.
Been moved and second. I'd ask Alan to come up, if you would, please. Any discussion or questions you'd like to ask? Well, we appreciate your willingness to take on the reins of a Class 1 fire department. I'm sure you'll move it in the same direction and improve upon it. And we really appreciate all your service through the years and the years to come. So I don't know if there's anything you'd like to say at all.
I was prepared to speak after I got voted, but if you want me to go now.
Okay, maybe it's better you don't say anything.
Yeah, right.
That's good.
Not too late to run.
Alderman McMinimum.
Mr. Mayor, thank you, Acting Chief, for a meeting Monday morning for 70 minutes. I was impressed 5 years ago when you were the union leader and you invited all the aldermen at the time to Legacy Theater to watch a movie regarding the firefighters in Detroit and the challenges of a city that was facing constant fires from purposefully set fires and firefighters with equipment that was failing, a city budget that was in shatters, and I attended that movie and was really impressed by the leadership to invite the council to observe, and I thought it was inspirational. Getting back to the matter at hand, you're jumping from captain to chief, so that's jumping from the tactical level to the operational strategic level. It's a big jump, and you got a lot of supporters back there that I think are going to help you make that jump, because you'll need a really strong team of the deputy chiefs and the battalion chiefs out there to help you make that jump. So good luck. I just want to comment briefly on some of what we talked about. I'm not going to ask any questions unless you want to comment on anything that I have to say about our meeting that went for 70 minutes Monday morning at Old Fire Station number 2 on
First
on
time
2nd
I've ever
Street.
been in there.
Well, good. I'm glad you came in, and we walked the back area too and so forth from the former fire station. But we talked about the structural deficit and what a challenge that's going to be and continue to be, because we have personnel costs, not just wages, but you have to add in the other related costs, of course, the pension and the health care and so forth, and they're growing at about 4% a year, and yet we've got revenue that's growing at 0 to 1%. So it wasn't just a challenge this year or last year, it's going to be a continuing challenge year after year. And so hopefully, with your leadership, we'll find solutions that everyone participates in, our employees and our taxpayers, and I thought it was a really good discussion we had yesterday morning, so just wanted to comment on that.
I appreciate you having me there.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open. The ordinance to appoint passes 10 voting yes, none voting no.
Congratulations. Thank you.
And we would like to have a pinning ceremony. His son Ben's going to come up, right? Is that
My
correct?
son Ben would love to come up here in front of the council.
And we'd invite his wife Sheila to come up as well.
Sheila would also love to come
Would
up.
Ben like to say a few words, Chief? Would Ben like to say a few words?
Ben, would you like to say a few words? Don't stab me.
Don't hold your breath.
Got it?
So would you like to say a few words?
I would like to say a few words. Mayor Langfelder, Alderman, thank you. This is a high honor. Thank you for your trust. I couldn't be more proud to lead the women and the men of the Springfield Fire Department. This is an unbelievable honor. Many of our members have dedicated their lives to public service. They give far more than they take, and they're out there every day. Thanks to Chief Richmond, who couldn't be here, Chief Bassett, and Chief Neighbors, who are behind me. Their guidance last 2 weeks has been unbelievable. I've learned a lot already, and they serve our citizens well, and it's because of their leadership. I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Chief Helmrichs isn't here, but I want to thank him once again for leaving this place better than he found it. Leaving a place better than you found it is not a career goal of mine. It's a daily goal. Every day, if you just make little incremental changes, pick up One little piece makes something better. It makes us all better. As you guys know, we have 3 divisions of the fire department. Our operations division is the kind of the reactionary division. They're the ones that respond to your emergencies and hopefully make the worst day of your life a little bit better. Our Fire Prevention Bureau is so important because they stop a problem before the incident occurs. And unfortunately, that's very hard to prove. It's very hard to prove that a fire didn't happen because they spotted something. And that's almost impossible to track with statistics. Our training division keeps our members ready to both react and to prevent those emergencies. In the modern fire service, we have a lot of challenges. We're always evolving: hazardous materials, technical rescue, water rescue, dive, EMS, and of course fire suppression. There's just a few of the things that we have to be either familiar with or experts at, depending on what area we're in. I got to attend a lunch with the mayor the other day, and so I'm well aware that the alderman and the mayor have to prioritize things for the city. I saw that firsthand as he was getting bombarded with questions, and I thought it was great when I got up kind of sheepishly and they started telling me how great the fire department was. But that's not lost on me. You know, you have to prioritize things. You have City Water, Light and Power, Police, Public Works. So we're all in this together. We all make this community safer and better, and any good community has those services. Luckily, though, my focus is a little more narrow than yours. My compass will always be set towards public safety. I'll always be honest with you about that, tell you the needs of the fire department, and then you have to make policy decisions to either support those needs or not. So thank you, Sheila, Ben. Thank you. Thanks for your support. You guys make it really easy to be a firefighter. And I've missed a lot. My daughter's at college. I missed her. I wish she could be here, but I've missed far more of her milestones than she's missed of mine. So again, thank you for your trust and support. And this is a really big honor. I appreciate it.
And being a first responder, just like an elected official, it is a family affair, so we do appreciate the support of Chief Riney's family in this and making that effort possible, so thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is number 2018-176, an ordinance approving the appointment of Susie Woods to the Springfield Disabilities Commission. Chair will entertain a motion to place agenda number 2018-176 on final passage.
So moved.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open. And the ordinance passes 10 voting yes, none voting no. Chair will entertain a motion for anonymous vote to suspend the rules and place on first readings agenda number 2018-205. Are we doing all that? Through 2018-209. Is there a motion for the ominous vote?
Shouldn't we be doing the emergency passage 178 first?
Did I miss that? Which one was it?
178.
178.
Change order for CWLP.
Thank you very much. 2018-178, an ordinance authorizing change order number 1, and additional funding in an amount not to exceed $89,480 with Alliance Special Tie Motors, Inc., doing business as Lewis Alice for contract UE 18-09-44-Unit 33 South Boiler Feed Pump Motor Repair for a total amount payable of $183,560 for the Office of Public Utilities for emergency passage.
Move for passage.
It's been moved for passage and second. Any discussion?
That was hard to say, huh?
Alderman Hanauer.
Yeah, Doug, you want to explain what's going on? Has this been an ongoing problem, or?
We just basically we test our motors, periodically, and then they showed a test that was a problem with the rotor, so they sent it in for repairs. Once they opened it up, they also noticed that the stators were more damaged than what they could see electrically testing it. So once they had it apart, they have to fix it. If we wouldn't, we could put the motor back together, and it's going to fail at some point and derate our unit during the summer when it's probably the most costly to us. So we had to fix it now and get it back in time before the unit comes back online, because it's on an outage right now, scheduled.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor, are we reading these into the record, the captions for these one, two? Emergency passes. Emergency, okay. Thank you.
Yep. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the ordinance, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. The voting is now open. And the ordinance passes 10 voting yes, none voting no. So Chair will entertain a motion for an ominous vote to suspend the rules and place on first reading agenda number 2018-205 through 2018-209.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. 2018-205, an ordinance authorizing execution of a water agreement with Lincoln Land Energy Center, LLC. 2018-206, an ordinance authorizing settlement in the amount of $980,000 with Comcast of Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, LLC, known as Comcast, regarding franchise fee audit. 2018-207, an ordinance authorizing a sponsorship payment of $30,000 to Springfield Sliders and authorizing a sponsorship payment for an amount not to exceed $10,000 for the Juneteenth event to be held Tuesday, June 19, 2018, pursuant to Article 7, Chapter 37, Section 37.62 of the 1988 City of Springfield Code of Ordinances as amended for the Springfield Convention and Visitors Bureau. 2018-208, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsible bid and authorizing the execution of a contract number PW 19-03-05 with P.H. Broughton and Sons, Inc. for the fiscal year 2019 Seal Coat Overlay Program in an amount not to exceed $517,803 for the Office of Public Works and Public Utilities. 2018-209, an ordinance approving and authorizing a settlement agreement with General Electric International, Inc., GE, and National Union Fire Insurance Company of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Nation Union for the Dolman Unit 33 turbine mechanical failure totaling $4,520,751.30 and authorizing a refund payment to National Union in an amount not to exceed $1,500,000 for the Office of Public Utilities. Is there any questions on those? All those in favor in submitting those to first reading, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Is there any unfinished business come before the City Council?
Yes, please.
Alderman Tyler?
I had asked for Oak Ridge Director Michael Ellis to come to answer some questions about the, we had received an email from members of the Oak Ridge Cemetery Board about the unveiling of the internment books, as well as some other questions that I have about the event, if Mr. Ellis could come up.
Thank you, Alderman. Just a little bit of history about the interment books we're speaking about. The internment, Oak Ridge Cemetery is a curator or holder of all interment records within Oak Ridge Cemetery. And probably, not probably, but the most famous record we hold is the actual handwritten interment of Abraham and Mary Lincoln. When I arrived in 2011, one of my staff members said, "I'd like to show you something." And she took me into our vault, opened up a cabinet, and within a box there were a pair of cotton gloves and a book. And she said, "Would you like to see the interment record of Lincoln?" I said, "Yeah, but what's it doing in here?" "Well, we are the holder of all official records." When I looked at it at the time, I put the gloves on, I looked, I was amazed, kind of, got chills up my spine because this was the actual handwritten record. So I proceeded on a mission to try to find out whether we couldn't place the book or books in a friendlier environment, because I didn't think the proper place for these books was in our vault. It's not environmentally controlled in any sense. And after 150 years, time had not been kind to these books. In fact, some years prior to my arrival, I understood that the books had been taken to someplace and then digitized by the Secretary of State, and they've been taken apart, unbound. They're still in good shape, but I further then thought, well, before we store them someplace, we should get them restored. So checked with a number of professionals in the industry and was referred to Graphics Incorporated out of Chicago that restores historical documents and books. Russ Mackey from the company, the president, came down a couple of different times and provided presentations to the board about the process and indicated at that time what you have here is priceless, was the word he used. He said there's more than one Gettysburg Address, but there's only one handwritten interment of Abraham Lincoln. So we asked him for a price, and he said the two books would cost approximately $30,000 to restore and rebind. I went to our foundation, and they decided that they would take that on as a project, but then to my rescue came the mayor and said, we need to take care of these books immediately. We don't want to take the time to, although the foundation was willing to raise the money, the mayor did find the funding through Convention Visitors Bureau and funded not only the books, but an acrylic case to hold the books. The books one of the books, book one, Abraham's book, will be ready by May 4th, and it was the intent of the cemetery and the board to host an unveiling and have the mayor unveil the restored book of Abraham Lincoln's interment record. Unfortunately, Mary's will not be ready. It's a very time-consuming process. I can't even tell you exactly what they do, but they go page by page. So that's the mayor, one of my board members, and a number of other individuals had met with Alan Lowe of the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library. At first, when my board chair and I met with some other folks, the Abraham Lincoln Association and so on, we were told that the only way that they could take possession and store these books in their environmentally controlled units was they had to take ownership of the books. We were unwilling to give up ownership. These are city documents. So when the mayor and a number of us met with Alan Lowe, he acquiesced and indicated, yes, we'll draft an agreement. We will not take ownership of the books, and we will gladly store them. And actually, the city will retain ownership and control of these books. So our thought was, since the one book at least will be ready by May 4th, which is the anniversary of Lincoln's interment, we thought an unveiling at that particular date would be an appropriate time, and to invite aldermen and city officials and the governor and anybody else that may be interested in seeing this book, and then finishing this agreement with Alan Lowe and the Presidential Library, because that obviously, I've been there, I don't know if any of you have ever seen it, but there's rotating bins, everything's environmentally controlled, they have a lot of historic documents in there. That is a proper place for these books. So May 4th, 2 p.m., we're not certain of the location yet unless the mayor has more information, but we're working on that.
It'll probably be out the cemetery, possibly at the tomb is what we're looking at, but be for a short period of time, and then maybe have it open to the public for an hour or two or something of that nature until we can have a permanent location, or for temporary at the Presidential Library Museum, but we're still working out the details of that.
And not the Abbey?
That's what we're still trying to figure out, the best place for that.
Okay. Just trying to piece a few things together. The reason that I started looking into this, obviously we did get some contact from the Oak Ridge Board of Directors, but I have a friend that works at the museum, and they had brought something up to me about this, and I started asking some questions that Mr. Lellis wasn't comfortable answering, so I'm going to ask them now. Sure. And from what I understand, I guess the library can be very possessive once they get an artifact into their possession, and I'm under the impression that if we were to have, how often do you have people come looking to do some history, some research, some other things at Oak Ridge?
Weekly.
And we get people from all over the world?
Absolutely.
Okay, and this is where the concern comes in. I'm under the understanding that a boilerplate from the state's agreement can require over 30 days notice for them to set up for the owner to have access to their own artifact. And my thought process is that we could have somebody contact us on a Monday telling us that they're coming this week wanting to see the artifact. They could be coming from halfway around the world. I have a concern that if that boilerplate is still there, that's the standard they're working with, is the 30 days notice, that's not in the city's best interest. For one, I think 48 hours is plenty of notice, that if we wanted to have access to it, if the mayor, the board of directors, or the director of Oak Ridge wanted access to the artifact with the historian who wants to see it, I think 48 hours is plenty of notice. The second thing that was brought to my attention was the whether or not what our rights are. I want to make sure that we're not signing over ownership of the documents. I love the idea that they'd be at the library. I think that that's the best hermetically sealed storage in the city where we could keep these historical documents in the best condition possible. I just want to make sure that the city is not losing any part of their ownership of the documents. I've seen and heard things, and I have concerns about dealings with the state on that level on artifacts. So I just want to make sure that we're protecting ourselves, we're protecting our property, and that we're maintaining ownership and the ability to have access to them when we make a reasonable request.
Yeah, two things. One is, I think we're going to have a duplicate made of the books.
Right, there's going to be facsimile books actually made professionally. They're not just going to be run through a copy machine. And actually, those are the books that we plan to store in the acrylic case that's being made that actually is photosynthetically, hermetically, everything. It's not hermetically sealed, but it doesn't allow ultraviolet lights to come through, even for the facsimile books. So those will be available to be on display. We've yet to determine where we want to place those, maybe our office, or if the tomb wanted to borrow them or so on. But we don't want to, I'll use the term schlep, the original books throughout the country. If the but by the same token, if the Smithsonian were to contact us or the mayor and say, we're interested in, we'd have to figure out a mechanism for transporting the book or books to them, some type of agreement on having them returned. I will answer your question. I have seen a draft of and it's not completed, of the agreement, and the state does indicate that the city will retain ownership. That's specific in that document. So,
and we'd have to sign off. Well, Corporation Council can speak to the agreement, and it will come before the council for voting on the agreement. But we'd have that in there about transporting the book. We'd have to sign off on that, I would think. But I'd leave up to Corporation Council to give any insight into the agreement itself.
Just very briefly, the form agreement, I've briefly looked at it, and also Linda O'Brien in my office has looked at it, but it will have to come to the City Council, so you'll get an opportunity to review it. Their original form agreement had some terms that were of concern that Mike raised and so on, but I would expect we would be able to work through it, but it will come as an ordinance, as we would with any other contract, and so you'll get an opportunity to review it and vote on it, if that answers your question.
Okay.
Alderman Hanauer?
Well, and Mike, you kind of answered part of my question. People should not be handling this book. It's like people handling the Gettysburg Address. They have, you want to see it, they have, I'm sure they're copies, or they've also got the digital records that they can also view. I mean, but actually, we need to put this in a secure environment that's going to preserve this book. I agree 100% with that. But no historian should be handling that book. That should not be.
No, my main concern was the 30-day is what I'd heard is a standard. And I was just thinking more along the lines of as we have.
I think what they submitted, Alderman, was boilerplate language that they have for a lot of their other agreements, and I had a concern about needing 30 days to access our own books. You know, all they'd have to do is go down to the basement. 30 days is an awful long time, so I think we can work through that. But I definitely think the books should not be handled. They are digitized. I'm not sure of the exact link, but you can go to the Secretary of State's website and see the exact pages, page by page. And I did check with Linda O'Brien with regard to HIPAA regulations, because in earlier days we don't record the cause of death today on our interment cards, but in earlier years they did. Actually, I was quite surprised when I first started looking at some of the older interment records. They had cause of death consumption. Well, to me, I thought it was alcohol.
No.
Anybody know what consumption is?
Tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis, yes. I said, well, a lot of people really died of, drinking too much of it. But I found later, teething was another considerable. Killed by train, most of those were by suicide, but we don't list causes of death anymore. So I was concerned about HIPAA regulations, but statute of limitations had expired going all the way back to 1865, according to Linda O'Brien, so we don't have to worry about that in any sense. But any other questions?
Any other questions? We appreciate your good works in preserving Springfield's history. That's great.
Thank you for coming up with the funding. I appreciate it.
Mayor, I have one other thing.
Yep. Alderman Hanauer?
Not with you, Mike. Thank you. On first reading today's 2018-184, it's bank service fees and not to exceed $70,000. I would like to ask Treasurer Busher to look into these fees and see if there's any way that we can cut those down. That seems an awful lot of money, You've done a good job reducing them. So I guess I don't know if a week's enough time for you to get us some sort of report, or if you can report back.
Yes, Alderman, this is an account that the utility uses to deposit all of the monies they take in at the commercial office window. So it primarily all goes through City Water, Light and Power, not my office. But I have met with them before on some of the fees of that, and I'm happy to sit with them again prior to the next meeting.
Yeah, if you could do that. And, the other part was in the packet, it says that there was no need to bid this out. Well, if this is what we're getting, and maybe we do need to bid out and see if another bank will do it for less service charges. I don't know if that's possible, but I want to leave it up to your expertise to come back to us and before we vote on this.
Yeah, I'll get with Director Crutcher and some of the other people at the utility this week, and I'll follow up with you.
Thank you.
Alderman Tyler.
Yeah, I apologize. I took the kids on vacation and then got sick last week, so I've got 3 weeks worth of stuff for you. I'm organized.
Thanks for the warning.
I understand you guys did question the OBM report for the money for Scott Berg for Convention and Visitors Bureau, the $24,000. My question is that the contract looked to me like he's coming in to basically, it was doing a lot of the stuff that we would expect a director to do. And it's about a quarter of what it would cost to have a director. I'm just I thought we were handling it internally. I did not expect to see, I understand that we could use some assistance, but it's almost a fourth of what a director would cost us. So I'm just how long is he staying? How many hours are we getting for this $24,000? I guess that's the direction I'm going, is what are we getting for $24,000?
Yeah, we can have him come in and give a list of his accomplishments, but one of it would be the visitor center and getting that up and running. The other part of it is he used to be an employee with the Convention and Visitors Bureau and has vacated that position. And, a lot of the things he's done has fallen through the cracks, and that hasn't gone filled in all this time. So specifically with international visitors, sister cities, things of that nature. So it's a combination of those, but we can have him come to the next council meeting and give an update.
Or just, he could write, send a report to Griffin, Council Coordinator Griffin, and he can disseminate it to the alderman. That would be fine. I just want to see what we're getting.
Sure.
Chatham Road, Mark Mahoney. I can't speak for Alderman McMenamin, but I know that I am getting hammered, literally, from people with car repairs and talking about just how bad the roller coaster is from Washington to Wabash. And I have explained to them that some of that road doesn't belong to us, and luckily for me, the only part that's Ward 8 is Washington to Parkview. So most of it's on Joe, but
can you give an outline of what's in the city and what's out?
The worst part too, Chris, except for Leland Grove, but go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, it was right before council, not too long, but I sent you a complete cut, really our 4-year plan for
right,
Chatham
but I
Road.
just wanted to address it publicly because of how many calls I'm getting.
Sure. So, the piece of it from us about just north of Barberry to south of Old Jacksonville Road is actually Leland Grove. We are actually in conversations with them. There needs to be some patching work that needs to be done. We'd like to do it this year. We're talking with them about that possibility, but it's more likely it's probably going to happen next year for their piece of it. We're doing some patching on our piece of it, actually from that portion south of Old Jacksonville all the way to Jefferson will be done this year, and then we're going to be gradually overlaying it over the next 4 years. So it does need repair, but it is on our program. We've managed it in. It's going to cost us roughly about $3.2 million probably over the next 4 years on Chatham Road upgrades, and we're trying to piecemeal that. The Leland Grove portion of it is approximately probably about $1 million. Right. So we're discussing how we approach that. That we've talked about trying to get some state funding, but with the situation right now with that. So
and it could take forever for it to come in.
Could, yes. So we're well aware of it. What we're trying to do right now, we had crews out there doing pothole patching this time of year across the city. It's obviously those are the kind of things you're seeing when the weather finally turns. So we operate 2 or 3, sometimes 4 pothole crews this time of year. And Chatham Road, we're actually out there today. But we're going to be moving forward when the weather changes and doing some of the patching, so it's going to see the upgrade on the city side. We actually have a maintenance agreement with Leland Grove for the Leland Grove section for potholes and minor maintenance, and our guys are out there doing some of that today, and we bill Leland Grove for that, for time and material.
Okay, so like I said, I just wanted to publicly address it so that people know that the city is aware of the issue and there is a plan, and that patching crews were out there today in the worst part of it.
Correct. Well, our pothole crews are out.
Pothole crew, yes. And you can still report potholes on the city website if someone
you
were
can either
to
report it through the city website, or if they can always call our dispatch number, that's 789-2246, and report it as well.
So I just want to make sure the public is aware that this has gotten attention.
Can I have a follow-up, Chris?
Yes.
Mark, last year you did some excellent crack filling with that 4-inch
It's a mastic patching, yep.
It was black tar type patching that was very effective for portions of Springfield, part of the road, but then there was a portion of Springfield Road that was left out, of the Springfield-owned portion of Chatham Road that was left out. Are you going to be able to do that remaining portion this summer?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. We're going to be doing that this year, our Springfield portion, and we're trying to work in the Leland Grove portion. If we can't get it this year, at least next year. So you're going to see the exact same thing, and that's going to set us up to move forward with the overlay over a period of time.
That's great news. Thanks a lot, Chris.
Okay. And then the last item I have is
for Director Mahoney.
Before you
if anybody has
before you go any
questions
further,
for Director Mahoney.
If somebody happens to drive down that road and they tear their car up at Chatham Road and Wabash, what's their course of action?
Typically what they'll do, they'll call our safety officer. He takes the incident report, and then we get with risk management, and they go through it. They have a process they follow.
Okay, thank you.
My last item is for Mr. Zirkle and possibly for the police department representative tonight. I know that Alderman DeCenzo is having similar issues with the barking dog complaints. I've got one particular one on West Edwards that I've got people complaining. I think I'm up to 14 houses complaining about the one house with 3 dogs that are out 24/7. And this woman has a history
Police department's aware of it. They've sent several officers out there for observation. Animal control's aware of it. I spoke with Jim Stone at last week's Public Health Board meeting. He's meeting with Greg Largent from Animal Control to see if maybe they can find another solution. But the biggest thing what it comes down to is I had requested what is the actual legal interpretation of the ordinance. It appears it could go two different ways as it's written. It could be the interpretation be that it has to be an observation of 15 continuous minutes of barking.
Or crowing.
Or crowing, and if you're in Ward 10 with the roosters. Or is it 15 continuous minutes of observation of the barking? And the reason I say say it that way is if the way it's being treated right now by both animal control and by the police department, if I understand everything correctly, is that if the dog takes a drink, if the dog runs from one side of the house to the other to start barking again because they start over here, run around the house and start barking over here, if the dog takes a deep breath, it stops the 15 continuous minutes under the current legal interpretation that animal control and law enforcement are using. But when I read the ordinance, I think that there's a possibility of the interpretation of 15 minutes of continuous observation, and that the barking being a nuisance is up to the interpretation of the observer.
Are the dogs in a fenced area or chained up?
Fenced area. At least in this particular case. I don't know what yours are.
Same.
But in this one, we'll have isolated incidents. We'll have, once in a while we'll have something, officers show up, they talk to the person, they had no idea their dog was that loud or barking all the time, or that squirrel's pissing that dog off all day long. They just didn't know, so they do something about it. In this particular case, this woman was getting citations and issues when she had one dog. Then she added another and then put the first dog outside full time. Then she turned around and started getting citations for having two dogs. Now she turned around and added a third dog, and from what I understand, they are outside 24/7, all three of them.
Well, then she knows what's going on.
And it's at the point right now where all the neighbors, they can't tell which one of the three is barking or if it's all three of them. And they all know it's the one house.
So is it 15 minutes per dog?
5 minutes combined.
Like I said, I tried addressing this back in 2009 when I first got elected, and I was under in that first time around under the Davlin administration, and I had more resistance to the idea of reducing it from 15 minutes to 10 than I have had on any other ordinance that I've brought forward.
I spoke to Greg Largent today because my issue is actually after hours and weekends and the lack of response.
Which then puts it on the police department because the animal control's not there, and there's literally very little they can do.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we know that we have an issue now that we have to address regarding
And it's one of those things where I have to say that if you don't have one of those dogs in your neighborhood, be happy. You may not understand the problem, but if you live in a neighborhood where you have one of these nuisance dogs, you know exactly what the two of us are talking about.
Corporation Council, can we pass an ordinance that dogs after midnight can't be left outside in a fenced area free to roam? Or
midnight? How late do you stay up?
Oh, you don't want to know. So,
I don't want to know. Midnight is too late. I can tell you that.
Can you address it that way, I guess?
I would have to.
Or 11 o'clock, whatever they want to say.
I need to take a look at that. That's different.
Some dogs are outside dogs. You can't.
And I agree.
You have to have your dog inside.
It's more along the lines of a responsible owner will know if their dog is doing things like this. We just have some people who are not responsible pet owners.
I agree. And that's what Mr. Largent and I discussed today as well.
After the meeting,
I'm more concerned about the abuse situation of animals than I am. I mean, the barking is annoying. I have two 75-pound dogs, and they don't bark just because of their breed.
So, they're golden retrievers. They don't bark. Sometimes I wish they would, but they don't. A dog barking, you can hear a dog barking a block away if they're barking nonstop. It's annoying, especially if you go to bed at 9 o'clock.
So like I said, we just need either a legal interpretation or we need to bring something forward as a solution to help animal control and the police department address the issue.
Agreed.
Corporation Counsel, you want to?
I was going to say, yes, if you, maybe after the meeting, you can give me the address and we can have them pull the police reports or see what the number of complaints or calls. And we can look at the ordinance, and I'll give you a call.
I can give you the phone number of the guy who's become the de facto leader for the neighborhood, too. They're all going to him now.
And in fairness, you sent me an email asking about that, and I apologize because I did not get a chance to look at it.
I wasn't here to remind you.
Well, I just want to point it out. You did send me an email, so I apologize because I should have pulled a copy of the ordinance, and I didn't get a chance to. But if you give me the address, then we'll check it with the police department.
Okay. Kristen.
Alderman Proctor?
Yes, thank you. Two things. I'd like to, again, thank Director Juan Huerta for keeping the winter warming shelter open again. I believe the cold weather, Mother Nature is not cooperating with us, and so we had to extend the hours. And so, Mr. Mayor, thanks again for that. That place is literally saving lives, so thank you, Juan, for what you did there. And then also, I understand the following Thursday, the police is going to have a representative from Wichita talk about their homeless outreach team, and I would request that we have a presentation next Tuesday at Committee of the Whole about that forum, if that could be arranged.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
And then the overflow shelter, it's thanks to Helping Hands. They helped staff it, and that's what the real need was, so we really appreciate their partnership throughout the whole year, especially keeping it open.
And they're still taking food donations if you want to go serve food.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think they're open through Thursday. Isn't that correct, Juan? Yes. Alderman DeCenso?
I'm looking at the May calendar, and for selfish reasons, because I'd like a 4-day weekend maybe, can we move our committee meeting on the 29th to the 22nd instead? Because Memorial Day, is the 28th, and the city's closed. So could we just have the 29th off instead?
Second. I'll second that motion.
Absolutely.
Is that okay with everyone?
So it's scheduled right now for the 29th. You want to move it to the 22nd?
Yes.
Okay. Been moved and seconded. All in favor? Or is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Can we do that officially, sir? We have to wait for a council meeting.
We'll have to give the appropriate notice, but that's a Committee of the Whole meeting. So there will have to just be republished notice and so on. Okay.
We'll take care of it. Great.
Thank you.
Any other unfinished business? Alderman Senor?
Well, I don't know if you all know, but 2 years ago, my daughter had what's called a preemie, and I don't know if any of you have ever been up to the NICU and held a baby less than 3 pounds. I mean, he literally sat in the palm of my hand. But this Saturday, St. John's NICU is having their Little Miracles 5K run, and we're going to be a part of that. And I think it's at Washington Park. That's where it's always been. It starts at 10 o'clock. And also, I'd like a moment of silence for Mr. Rudy Boswell, who passed, and his funeral will be Saturday also.
Rudy Davenport.
Rudy Davenport. I'm sorry. Thank you. I got that messed up. But Mr. Rudy Davenport, who was very instrumental in the NAACP, so if we could observe a couple seconds of silence, I'd appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Special thanks to Alderwoman Turner with regards to Far East Side TIF. We made it out of committee on that ordinance. I don't know if you, or with the legislative action, and Senator Menard helped on the leadership role. I don't know if you want to say anything with regards to that.
Just very excited that we made that hurdle. With Senator Menard's leadership, we smooth sailing, and I am very hopeful. Representative Souchere is carrying it in the House, so I expect a similar outcome. It's going to make a huge difference for the east side of Springfield.
And that's the Poplar Place is, I think, within that boundary area as well.
I think one of the, if I may also interject, I know that the mayor has some plans with extending the Madison Park Place TIF, and that's going to be very significant because once that happens, those two TIFs will butt each other, and so that will mean big things for that whole corridor and all of the empty lots that the city owns, and economic development, infrastructure. We might even pave some alleys.
Both sides of 11th Street.
Yeah,
Those alleys.
Yeah. So no, and the Southtown areas. So it will make a significant difference in the east side of Springfield.
Very good, thank you. Is there any new business come before City Council? I have a couple announcements. One is the All-City Talent Show. It's going to be musicians, singers, dancers, rappers, actors, comedians, magicians, spoken words, as we heard tonight, and visual arts at the Lincoln Library on Wednesday, April 18th from 6 to 7:30. So audience members vote on the talent, and that's part of the Mayor's Youth Council came up with the program, so we appreciate their efforts in doing that. And the other thing is Saturday, April 21st at the Old State Capitol from 1 to 5 is the Earth Awareness Fair. So it was a phenomenal event. Dina Rivas, I think, spearheaded that from Public Works and has done a great job getting more people involved. So, and that's rain or shine. And then the other item is Butler School, I know was recognized today here, but they also participated in the Illinois Proud Penny Drive. That was a concept developed by Representative Sarah Jimenez, and it's regarding collecting pennies in Sangamon County for the next 2 weeks. And the proceeds of that will be used to purchase a book that was, generated in Sangamon County that lists Abraham Lincoln as a person of good moral character. And right now it's in New York, and Abe wants it back here as well as we do. So that penny drive will be used to make that happen. So is any other new business come before the council? Alderwoman DeCenso?
I just want to thank the 50-plus people that came out for the Ward 6 cleanup day on Saturday. It was a phenomenal turnout, and we got a lot of nasty trash off the streets, so, and the alleys, cleaned up those alleys. So that was we questioned the weather, and it stayed away, and we got a lot done. So thanks to everyone who came out. It was a big deal.
Thank you very much. Any other new business from the council members? There's individuals that wish to address the council. First is Jim Kiefer regarding mowing and boarding contracts. You'd say your name and address for the council, we'd appreciate it.
Address at the house?
Sure.
Okay. Yep. My name is Jim Kiefer. I approached you, my house is 332 North Lincoln. I'm in Mr. Donlin's ward. I'd brought this to you guys' attention last year. I'd had problems getting a mowing contract last year. With the help of Mr. Donlin and the council coordinator, Mr. Jim, Zirkle. Mr. Zirkle, I had actually got my contract due to the fact there was miswording in the contract. This year, they're trying again this year, not giving me my contract again this year due to personal conduct. There's two gentlemen that got in a fight in the meeting that there's a mandatory meeting at the city here, March 28th or 29th, I believe. I'm not sure when the date was. But there was two gentlemen that got in a fight, and the security guard, Pat, downstairs was called upstairs for two colored gentlemen that got into it.
What color were they?
Huh?
What color were they?
He said two. He just said there's two colored gentlemen that got into it.
Oh, okay. Were you in the room when the two colored gentlemen got in?
Yes, I was.
What color were they?
They were black.
Oh, okay. Just asking.
Okay. There were two black gentlemen that got into it.
Okay.
And he was called upstairs due to those two black gentlemen that got into it. And the two black gentlemen were asked to leave. One of them did leave. The other one did not leave. Probably about 3 weeks later, I got a letter in the mail saying that I was not being accepted my contract this year due to personal conduct. I did nothing in that meeting. I did nothing to cause for me not to have a contract. I'm here as a business person. I run a business besides working for you guys to mow your guys' lots and stuff like that. I also run a construction company. So I'm a very business professional person. I don't deal with cause fights. I don't do any of that. If you want to cause a fight, then you can go somewhere else. That's why I've always seen it. I'm a business person. You don't get business conducted by causing fights. You get business taken care of other ways. So this is the way I just want to bring it to you guys' attention, because this isn't the first year I've had a problem getting a contract with the city of Springfield. I'm just here to mow your guys' lots and make money and put food on my table. That's all I'm here to do. And that's basically what I was wanting to let you guys know and stuff like that. I do have a meeting Thursday with Mr. Zirkle at noon.
Alderwoman Turner?
Yeah, that's what I was going to just say. And instead of, this is a very convoluted issue, and I actually received a number of calls and emails from staff regarding disrespectful, threatening behavior that was displayed by Mr. Kiefer to Public Works staff. That it wasn't just one person. I received numerous calls and numerous emails from staff as well as from people who were in the office when all of this occurred. And I do know that there is a meeting scheduled with Corporation Counsel on Thursday. So I think that in this situation that Mr. Kiefer has spoken and, said what he wanted to say. So I think that we should let it lay now and let Corporation Counsel handle it in the meeting on Thursday.
Agreed.
Very good.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you
I just
very
want to let you guys know. Thank you.
Thank you. Next was, I think it was Willie Gregory. Mr. Gregory here?
He's not coming.
Okay. And is there, I think, Reggie Witherspoon?
I'm not coming to talk about no homelessness. Okay. Robert Fox, I'm speaking for Robert Fox, the Rotary Club. He built and designed these tree houses. They call it Peterson Birdhouse. What he want to do is, on the honor of Rotary Club International, I'll let you see it, because this going to international over the Rotary Club Park over there, I don't know where it's at, but he would like to see it throughout Springfield. Okay, I'll let you know. This is a hole the birds come in. This is how you let it down and clean it up. If you need his information, call me.
Yep. Thank you.
If you need his information, just let me know. I'll pass it on to him, and he'll get you a call.
Great.
That's what I've been working on for the last 2 weeks. He got the equipment out there. What I do is assemble it together. And hoping and praying that the program that he's trying to run is trying to help the homeless people with a skill. He's supposed to train me. I trains them, and it's a way to get them off the streets as well as stop them from panhandling. We're trying to find a way to get them a job.
So he's Rotary International, and they're trying to teach homeless individuals to help make these bird tree houses. And then part of the proceeds would go to homeless services.
It goes to Robert Fox.
Okay.
Because he the one built it.
Alderman Hanauer?
How much are they? If someone wants
You
to
got to
buy
call
one?
and talk to Robert Fox. He'll give you the price. I can give you his number. You call and talk to him.
I guess after the meeting, you'll tell us how to get in contact with him.
I give you his number.
Yeah,
He already gave me permission to give you all the number.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Be blessed.
Is there anybody else wish to address the council? Sure.
Just a joke between me and the chief, okay? I'm Alice Ramey, and I have the same concern as you do with the barking dogs. But I found out by going over to the house that some dogs have a tendency, that's all they do is bark, and others don't. I'm a little bit upset with the corporate council that he hasn't figured out a way that the dog pond can stay open on the weekends. It's very frustrating when you have a dog and you have to hold him until Monday.
It's county.
county, wherever the county is, whoever it
Public
is.
health has animal control.
So I have 2 dogs that I had in my possession that I had to keep outside, and they did bark until I went out there and gave them some more food and stuff like that. But I also would like to know why we can't have 24 hours off and on for the Sangamon County dog pond, because it's very disturbing to people like that have dogs, or they can't come out and talk about this or can't talk about that. I want the dogs picked up or citations given to the people that do not take care of their dogs. We have one on Popular Place that's got 5 dogs, and they all bark. And they're not in tune either, okay? They're not in tune. One's a little louder and one's, they're not in tune. Stop. Well, anyway, I would like that taken.
Pass that on to Director Stone.
And I have something else to say. I just got a text from Channel 20 that Barbara Bush did pass away.
Who's that?
Barbara Bush.
Oh, thank you very much for letting us know.
Yes, and please do something. If you have to get the ladies and gentlemen in Popular Place to do their own roads, do that, Doris, okay?
Yeah, we
Please, I don't like to.
We're trying to get the developer to do it.
Well, the developer might not do it.
That's their responsibility.
I know it.
We're
I
working
know it
on
better
it.
than they
We're
do.
working on it.
Please work on it.
We're working on it.
And
We
the
are.
houses that are individually on Popular Place, please get them tore down or do something, because they're filthy. And that's where the 5 dogs are.
Yeah,
And there's 5 dogs down the other one, and I think they're having a concert.
I actually did I periodically do a ward drive-through, and I actually did that about a week and a half ago and passed along some addresses to building and zoning that need to be addressed.
They did come out and citate the guy with all the bedding and stuff that was out there. He did take it away. I thought that was very nice.
That was one of the addresses that I did.
Yeah, I was really happy about that.
And sometimes, and I just want to tell you that sometimes it just takes a while, because I go out and look at it, then I pass it along, and then they send out an inspector, and then, a person is given a certain amount of time to address it. So just because you don't see something happen immediately doesn't mean that we're not working on it.
You promised, Doris, I'm not too far from you.
Oh, my goodness.
And I have a car.
She knows where I live.
Okay?
Yep.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We do have some items to address in executive session. So is there a motion to adjourn to executive session?
Somebody else who might want to speak.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Thank you. If you'd like to.
No, I just want you to pass it around. It's worked with John 23 years. And y'all probably know.
If you'd state your name and address for the council, we'd appreciate it.
I'm Mrs. Moore, 1505 South Douglas, Springfield, Illinois. And I'm here to find out, it's going to be quick, find out about Lionel Jackson. He is used to be my fiance, but anyhow, he passed away, and about 6 weeks ago. And I was paying his, I moved in and started taking care of him when he got ill, because didn't have nobody else to take care of him. And I was paying his bills and taking care of all of that. And what I'm here today to find out, because I was going to pay the light bill downstairs, and it's in his name. And what I'm trying to find out is anything that's in his name, we're not married. Am I responsible for it?
You're not related?
Oh, no, we're not married. We just got kids together.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And are you living there or no?
No, I moved in when he got real ill.
Yeah,
He
so I
had
would
ill
imagine it's whoever's in the name, I would think. Isn't that correct, Corporation Counsel? So I don't know, Ken, if you'd like to say anything with regards to?
So.
And again, sorry for his passing.
I'm not completely, I just got this first thing this morning. And it's my understanding that Mrs. Moore is living on the premises, and the bill is not that far behind. It's just, it's about the next cycle due next week would be a couple months. And there's been regular payments. My understanding is that Mrs. Moore lives there, and our people in the commercial office have had a conversation with her, is what I've been told.
Yeah, yesterday.
Just yesterday. And she came in to have the bill changed out of Mr. Jackson's name and put into hers. Now, one of our customer service supervisors made the change and should not have made the change. And I understand that there was a second conversation with Mrs. Moore by phone last night, and it was taken back out of her name. But in that case, when someone is still on the premises and the property is in the name of the landowner who is now deceased, what occurs is there's a deceased customer letter that goes out, and it says, you need to come in and pay this bill or make some arrangements within X amount of time, in this case about 10 days, and if you don't, it will be shut off. Okay, so it is my understanding from the customer service rep that Mrs. Moore did not want to pay the bill and did not, I understand that she was offered a payment arrangement. I don't know how steep, because I didn't talk to that particular customer service representative, but supervisor. But my understanding is that nothing has been done so far in terms of once the deal was put back into regular place, back into Mr. Jackson's name. But it would be that if Mrs. Moore is residing there, that she would have to pay the bill. It's under $400. And then we would change it over to her name. We'd offer a payment plan, and if you want to talk about it, we can probably make it pretty liberal. But we'd have to do something or turn it off, which is the standard procedure.
Yeah, what we'll have to do is check, I'll let the attorney correct me if I'm wrong, but typically if someone passes, the bill would go to there's no living survivors, it go to the estate of the individual. And so that's what we'd have to check on, and we can check that and then let you know what we decide upon.
Yeah, Mayor, I have every place, the TV, the gas, and all of them. I didn't have no problems with them. I dealt with them over the phone, you know, and they switched it over in my name. Now, the only thing that I had to pay was the deposit. And they said if I keep that up in 3 months, then I would get that money back. But I have talked to a whole lot of people, and they said, well, this is in his name, because I moved in the house to take care of him. I don't see why everything, the bill's in his name, that I have to pay for his bill.
Right. Yeah, and that's what we'll check on. We'll check into, see Juan Huerta back there? Juan? He's right behind you. If you get with Juan and give him your contact information, and then we can follow up with Corporation Counsel how it should be handled. But like I said, my own personal opinion, I'm not the attorney, but typically, you know, in my banking days, when someone passes, the estate is billed, and that's the gentleman that passed away.
Yeah.
And so, and so that's what we'll have to figure out from a legal standpoint, and then take a look at our policies, and if they need corrected, we'll correct them.
But Mayor, I don't mind. I would be more than glad to pay it, because it's not that much. But the way she gonna tell me, well, you got to pay this because you was in the house. Yeah, I moved in because he was real ill. Right. He come down with old timers. Right. And everybody just left him.
Well, we appreciate you taking care of him in his final days.
And I moved in and took care of him.
Yeah.
And brought him home and everything there to the house. And he died there at the house. I helped his head because he died. And this is what I'm saying. All the rest of the bills that's in his name,
right?
You know, I didn't have to pay them, but I'd have everything turned over in my name whilst I'm there, you know, at the house. And my daughter is trying to see about taking the house over to, I didn't want, you know, anything to be cut off. So this is the problem that I had, you know, had with.
Yeah, we'll check into it and then get back with you tomorrow.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's probably a conflict with respect to our procedure and what some other companies have, because she's been in the house for a while, and the bill's basically been paid. It is a little bit behind, but it's not bad at all. So it's just a matter of figuring out what we want to do.
Right.
Okay. We are willing to make a payment plan reasonably liberal if you would like to pursue that. And
But
then
see, I
take
was
it to your
living
name.
with my daughter, and then when Lina got real sick, and
how long was
she said it was 214. That's when I put the address, changed the Illinois card over in my name. I changed it over in my name now.
Yeah, I think what she's saying is she doesn't feel she should have to pay it because it was his house. She was doing her good deed and taking care of him in his final days. So we'll look at it and look at our policies and make a determination.
Well, we'll get it to
Juan?
Yeah.
Well,
Okay,
thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Don't run, Juan.
So is there anybody else that wishes to address the council? So we do have some executive items to take care of. The motion to move to executive
Second.
For what purpose?
session for the pending and probable imminent litigation. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. We're adjourned to executive session. Mr. Blue?
This is Billy, by the way. The last one. Yep. All right, I'm gonna do a quick audio check. Christmas light first. Last name.
Is there a motion to adjourn or adjourn the city council meeting from executive session? Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved. Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.
I'm already in trouble too. Have you heard anything from Doug? Text Doug, find out what they're doing. Unless, or ask him if he needs a flak jacket. Is Ted over there too? Oh, Ted definitely needs a flak jacket.
Oh, really? What time's that? I think he's doing all the research.
That's cool.
8, 9, 10, 15.